Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Paxton. I am a product marketing manager at Smith.ai. If you haven't heard of Smith.ai, I know some of you have. I see some familiar names in the attendee list. I see some unfamiliar names. So if you haven't heard of Smith.ai, we are a 24/7 customer engagement solution. We answer calls, website chats, Facebook messages, and also place outbound calls on behalf of businesses. We do everything from screen and qualify callers, qualify those leads. We book appointments, take payments, the works. You know, we do a lot of work with call intensive businesses, and we do a lot of work with artificial intelligence. We also partner with CallRail. So that's one of the reasons we're together here on this webinar today. And on this webinar, we are going to talk about how call-intensive businesses can win with artificial intelligence. So we know that calls convert at a much higher rate than form fills. We know that even though calls are traditional, they've been around a long time, we know that they are the most important access point in the sales funnel. I mean, that's why we're in business. That is why virtual receptionist services are our main product. That's our premier service. That is the service that, most of our clients, come to us for, to answer the calls, to take those leads and turn them into clients quickly. So even though they have all of these access points where leads are coming in, whether it's their website, it's online, calls still stand above the rest. We know this. So we have here with us today, Masami Middleton, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at CallRail. And we're going to discuss how businesses can encourage and capture phone call conversations. Now, we're going to talk about why phone calls are still important. We know this. We're not going to spend a whole time talking about this because we already know this, okay? We'll talk about websites, how you can build them to encourage calls, the role that AI plays in phone conversations. That's probably the one we'll spend the most time on talking about today, and call intelligence today. Then we'll talk about call data and how you can use it to promote business growth. Now, at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Masami to introduce herself and introduce CallRail.
Thank you, Jessica. Yep, so I'm Masami Middleton, and as Jessica said, I'm the CMO at CallRail, and I'm relatively new. I think I am 4 months into the day, which is pretty exciting. It's been a fantastic ride. I was thrilled to join this company just because of the tremendous traction it's had, as well as the fantastic culture, fantastic products, and really, really great people. So really glad to be here and to join you all to talk about these interesting topics. So in case you don't know what CallRail is, let me talk about our mission. Our mission is to make it easy for businesses to turn more leads into better customers. And the way we do that is through our lead intelligence platform, which includes a number of interesting components, the primary ones being call tracking, form tracking, conversation intelligence, which I know we're going to get into, as well as something called Lead Center. And all of these components or all these capabilities are about making sure that our customers can know which marketing sources, whether it be online stuff, offline stuff, paid stuff, free stuff, what's driving your best leads, and get a very granular picture of that at the campaign level, at the keyword level, very granular picture of what's driving effective leads, and how can you make sure you're engaging with those leads in a way that turns them into customers or turns them into bookings, whatever the call outcome you're going for, that we are in support of that. So we've been doing this for a long time. The company's been around since 2011. We now serve well over 200,000 businesses, 200,000 customers. I think last year tracked 258 million calls from our customers. And we really relish in pulling insights out of those calls and making sure that those insights are actionable for our customers to grow their business.
Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right into the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about during this webinar. And why do businesses sometimes neglect phone calls and maybe place higher value other places? Like, why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it might vary depending on business size or segment. But I think in general, from our experience, and we do serve an array of businesses from SMB up to larger mid-market to enterprise customers. But in some cases, it might be lack of staff, right? And especially for a smaller business that wants to grow, but doesn't necessarily have the resources, right, to man the phones. And they might lean into slower communication methods like email or form fills purely from a cost perspective and a management perspective. But I think what happens is sometimes they don't have visibility into the value of a call, right? And I think you already got into it, Jessica. Calls for certain segments, for certain businesses, they're vital, right? They're vital to drive interest. They're vital to get specific information, answer the questions and the needs of customers, to contribute to sales. And we have a number of we have a horizontal solution where we have customers that might be in healthcare, might be in home services, that might be in legal, that might be in automotive or financial services, array of segments. But the common theme here is that customers want to engage with a human being. They want to ask questions. And then likewise, those businesses that field those calls want to understand buyer intent. What do they want? How can we engage in a way that drives them to the next stage of the sales process, or the next step in the buyer journey? So I think it's primarily that staff, and then just a business case, right? Why are calls valuable? Once you start to understand the value of the call, you understand investment is often well worth it to have staff that can answer the phone calls and convert those leads into customers.
Right. So I do have some comments here. If it's about staff, there are outsourcing methods that you can look at. Obviously, I work for a company that outsources virtual receptionist services and outsources sales outreach. Like, that is what we do. So don't let the lack of staff be a reason that you are neglecting phone calls. And the second thing I would like to point out is I have heard, because I'm constantly, we were talking about this before we went live. So there's some context here that the audience doesn't quite have, but I go to trade shows often, very, very often, and I am always in front of customers. I am always in front of business owners, and I'm having these conversations. And the reason I'm seeing the neglect of the phone calls is they don't have the data to back up the decisions that they are making. They don't know if phone calls are converting. They do have data in other places. They have the data from their website leads. They have the data from their Facebook leads, but they don't have data from their phone calls. So they don't know if they're converting, or maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they're using, they're making an educated guess, but or they're making a guess. And rather than making a guess, you need to actually use data to verify, to back up your business decisions that you are making. So actually look at how many calls you're missing.
That's right.
And those calls are your most qualified leads, because someone who is taking the time to pick up the phone and call your business is interested in your product and services. So I would also like to say that, to make sure that when you are making business decisions, you're making those decisions based on data. Like, you
100%.
have the data to back it up.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and there's so many things that you could do with that data and with a tool like CallRail to set up automations, right? So you don't have to necessarily assume a giant team to man the phones, right? It can be very smart in terms of how you route calls, the call flows that you might set up in a solution like CallRail, to make sure that the right person is answering the phone in addition to someone answering the phone. And your point about the answer rates or the missed call rates is a big one, right? And if you know that your business is not tracking well in terms of missed calls or answered calls, that is a huge lost opportunity. We track that. And I think last year in 2022, we saw an overall missed call rate of 21%. across industries. And again, we're a horizontal solution. So we serve a number of verticals in different business types. Home services, we have a lot of customers there. They were tracking around 20% missed call rate. Legal around 16%. So yeah, these are big opportunities, right? And it's a matter of what's your strategy to make sure that you're serving those customers, because to your point, if they're calling in, there's buyer intent. There's an intent to transact. Yeah,
absolutely. And that leads to the next point of why calls are important to businesses, especially local businesses. Like, what makes phone calls important?
yeah.
And it is that buyer intent.
That's right. It's buyer intent and then buyer behavior, right? Buyers still like to phone in, right? And our research shows that 72% of consumers, they expect to reach a business via the phone, via a call first for any transaction over $300. It's really, really important. And 91% of those consumers are more likely to trust a business if they can speak to a human being. So the trust, the fact that you're meeting them where they are, and if that buyer wants to engage by phone, you should meet them where they are. You know, especially if you have a higher selling price and your margins can support that. There are so many reasons why that makes sense, and you can instantly and responsively meet the needs of those consumers in the moment. And when you think about some of our customers where there's an urgency, like personal injury attorney, someone's had an accident, they want to reach and consult with someone quickly, or your pipe is broken and it's flooding, right? You need to speak to someone immediately. Phone is the best way to do that. No one's going to try to engage on email or fill out a form and just wait.
Right. I'm really glad that you brought up immediacy and urgency, because answering the phone and being the first person to pick up during those situations is absolutely key. When someone is in an emergency situation, they have the intent and they are ready to make the decision. Being the first person to pick up the phone, is key. Absolutely. Just as you mentioned, my roof has caved in. I absolutely need to talk to someone right away.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't answer, I am moving on to the next person in the list. Now, that doesn't mean you need to answer. And that's one of the things that, we talk a lot about at Smith.ai with potential customers, or with our customers, is if you have a business, and it's especially with small businesses, you want to be available 24/7, but you don't want to be available 24/7, then think about other solutions about how your business can be available through outsourcing or these other solutions without you being available. So you can maintain your work-life balance, but you can still support the customer. You can still be available to the customer. So when the phone rings and your receptionist answers, your receptionist sets that expectation right away and says, this is an emergency. Yes, let me get someone on the phone, take care of this right away. But it's not an emergency. They can set the expectation that absolutely will be out first thing tomorrow morning. But by answering the call and being there in that high demand urgency situation, you have the human contact, you have the trust. If I can't trust you during the sales cycle, I can't trust you beyond the sales cycle.
That's right.
So I think that's really important as well. And we have tons of stats around that. I've got this, I'll actually put it in the chat for everyone. I've got this blog that we wrote. I've lost the chat. It's on my other window somewhere. I've got this,
You can follow us after with the link. That's great.
Yeah, I've got this blog that we wrote a while back with customer experience statistics. And one of the statistics that I really like is that phone calls account for 92% of all customer interactions. Yet 85% of customers are dissatisfied with their phone experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to dig into that a little bit? I
I'll
mean,
let you
we have
handle
strong
that one.
points of view about that, right? So it's answer the phone
Mhm.
first and foremost, right? And it could be your own staff. You could be partnering with someone like Smith.ai to make sure that there are capable, skilled people answering the phone that know your business, making sure that the right resource is answering the phone. And as I mentioned before, there's automations that allow you to clue into what they might be interested in based on if they came onto your website, what was the landing page or what was the web page that they were looking at. That can give you a directional idea of the type of solution or the type of product that they're interested in. And you can route those calls accordingly, right? So that they get a very, very good experience. And then once someone answers the phone, there are capabilities like that CallRail has that allows you to know your caller as best as you can and get some good context, right? In terms of the keyword they searched on, if they came from a Google ad. These are crucial things that make sure the consumer knows you want to save time, right? And you want to know about what they need. You want to know where they came from. And with tools like CallRail, you can even know kind of where that lead source was.
Yeah, and I also saw recently, since we're talking about satisfaction, dissatisfaction, I was reading a few days ago about the CallRail call sentiments.
Yeah,
I just saw the LinkedIn post about that from CallRail, which
yeah.
was really exciting.
It is, and it's basically folded into our conversation intelligence solution, which has been
Mhm,
around for a few years. It's not a new capability. And in fact, we have
mhm.
the phrase conversation intelligence trademarked. A lot of people are talking about that phrase, but we trademarked it because we've been thinking
I
about it and
didn't know
doing it for so
that.
long. So yeah, that sentiment analysis that you just described, Jessica, is part of
Mhm,
conversation intelligence. It's one of two really exciting new features or capabilities that we have as part of what we call premium conversation intelligence.
mhm.
Because as we were talking about before, calls are just a gold mine of insights, right? And it could be insights around the buyer's intent, like we said, it could be sentiment, emotion, those kinds of things, right? So the sentiment analysis that we do allows people to, rather than listening to a call or sitting next to an agent and listening to the call or pouring through, lines and lines of transcripts or listening to recordings, no human has the capacity to go through that much information, but instead they just want to know, was it a good call, right? So our sentiment analysis basically was it positive, neutral, negative in an instant, was that a positive call? Was that a negative call? And are our agents doing a good job of driving largely positive experiences for our customers on the phone? Are there certain agents that are lagging in terms of their ability to drive positive outcomes and positive sentiment from the phone calls? So that's one capability. There's also what we call call summaries that, again, at a glance, in an instant, you can know what the essence of a very long call was without actually listening to the call. You can see 2 to 5 sentence snapshot of the essence of the call and the outcome of the call, and know what, did it successfully drive an appointment or a booking? Did it end in a positive way or a negative way? Like what were the things that the customer was asking for that we know that we need to serve as we deliver our service or product? So lots of insights, and that is exactly what our conversation intelligence is looking to surface and make actionable for our customers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what what other AI type tools are CallRail using today?
Yeah, so our spin on AI, because we're a call tracking company, and our heritage is in call tracking, is
Yes.
all voice AI, right? Some people here like to call it
Mhm,
voice first AI. So we are very interested in voice data.
mhm.
A lot of it is because of the richness of that data. I mean, I think it really is in some cases strategic advantage to have call data because it is so rich. So our AI capability starts with fantastic call transcription. So we partner with a company called Smith.ai. They are a leader in speech recognition, transcription, and analysis. And their model is trained on 650,000 hours of audio data. And what that allows us to do is to get a level of accuracy in our call transcriptions that rivals human level accuracy. And what that then spawns is all the analysis that we could do, like the summaries that I just described to you, Jessica, like the sentiment analysis, like the keyword spotting that we've been doing for so many years already, that allows you to quickly see what is it that this consumer or this customer wants, and how can I glean that quickly without having to spend hours and hours and hours to try to pull that out of calls. So I think that's one of the most exciting applications of AI, just because of the time savings alone, right? And even if a human had the time, I don't think a human has the capacity to really process that much data, whereas machines actually can. So
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the hugest benefits of artificial intelligence is being able to process that much data quickly and at scale.
yes, and at scale. And then one thing I would add, Jessica, is in an accessible way. So like I said earlier, we have a lot of customers that are in the SMB, small to medium-sized business category. And a lot of them are going to say, AI is just buzzword, has no relevance to me,
It's
because
not.
any AI that's going to be useful for me is going to require a data scientist, and I cannot hire or afford a data scientist, or it's going to require a solution that's super, super expensive that only large enterprises can afford. That is not at all the case. Like, our solution has AI built into it. It's been built into it since 2016. And our mantra or philosophy is very much making or democratizing call related solutions for the SME, for the small customer. So we want it to be, we've often said 3 A's: accessible. We want it accurate, like I said to you before about the transcription accuracy, and we want it actionable, right? Because this is not just a curiosity that people have. You want to use AI to actually make business decisions, make better business decisions, automate certain processes. At the end of the day, like I said at the very front of the call, turn more leads into better customers. So attract better quality leads, glean some great insights from call data to be able to know what are the keywords that are successful, what are the campaigns or sources that are successful, feed that keyword data back to, for example, a Google Ads to optimize the campaign, and automatically do that. Don't make the small business do that themselves, automatically do that. And just make sure you're tracking the outcomes, right? We care about call outcomes. And if we're not driving the call outcomes, we got to dig into those calls, and we got to talk to the agents. We got to coach the agents to say, hey, you can improve the way you're engaging, the questions you ask, the way you answer questions in a way that drive those outcomes. And we know it's going to be different, business to business, but at the end of the day, we want that call to turn into revenue ultimately.
Right. You said something that really resonated with me, and that was about the fear that comes with the word artificial intelligence. And that fear is absolutely unnecessary. When I think about artificial intelligence and fear, I'm reminded that artificial intelligence it's just software. Like, it is only artificial intelligence until you understand how it works. After that, it's just software. Whenever you look at GPS, for example, that is artificial intelligence. It's not expensive. Actually, Google Maps is free. So it's not this huge and scary thing. You don't need to be a scientist to figure it out. I mean, there are scientists that figure it out.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, we are literally living in the future, guys. This is sci-fi level stuff where we can now use artificial intelligence. The cost of entry is very, very low. There are no barriers. We can start utilizing this technology for businesses of any size. Now, there are some caveats. You want to be very, very careful about who you're partnering with, about which type of artificial intelligence you're using. You definitely want to look into things like what their privacy policy is, what they're doing with your data, because not all companies are created equal.
100%.
But we are in the point where we can use artificial intelligence to our advantage. I mean, transcribing a call, there is currently an AI transcribing this Zoom call. That is artificial intelligence.
Right. That's right.
So
Thank you
don't
for
think of it as
mentioning.
something scary.
Yeah, that it is accessible. It's to us at CallRail. We take a very pragmatic approach. This is not a science experiment. This is not about publishing papers and like what the fancy
Right.
thing we're doing. This is, what does it mean and how can someone use it? And then how also can we take a responsible approach to it, especially around topics like privacy and security. And so our design principles in our product development strategy build in privacy. It's very, very important to us.
Same.
We can
Same.
redact PII, for example, credit card information and other personally identifiable information from the call data to keep that safe. So we take it very seriously, being responsible in our approach to voice AI.
So since we're talking about AI, let's talk more about the role that it can play when it comes to lead generation and lead management. Do you have any input there?
Huge. I mean, that's a huge opportunity for us.
And
And
talk forever.
yeah, and it's really built into our call tracking capability, because call tracking is all about helping to understand your leads. That's why we often call our solution a lead intelligence platform, and the lead sources, right? And you want to make sure that you're attracting the highest quality leads and repeating that process to drive the highest quality leads. And I just described earlier some examples of how you can use the intelligence around those leads and quality score those leads and identify the keywords associated with the searches that those leads came from, or the landing pages, the marketing sources those leads came from, and just replicate what good looks like, and do it over and over using AI insights, right? And it should be built into the full visitor journey. And it starts with lead gen, also lead management. You know, like I mentioned, you can auto qualify leads and prioritize the way you follow up with them, and who follows up, what kind of resource you use to follow up with them, understand their likelihood to convert to potential revenue. There's a lot of applications of AI that span the full visitor journey. And a lot of what we do is threading that together via our platform. And in some cases, in partnership with other platforms that are part of the marketing stack that our customers might be using. So we can integrate with a CRM that customers are using, and we integrate with some of the big ones, you know, like HubSpot and Salesforce and ActiveCampaign, or some vertically specific ones like Tech in home services, or Clio in legal or lawmatics. So we partner with the right companies, or integrate with the right companies, so that customers can thread that whole thing together all the way to revenue, right? Because the end of the day, you want to be able to track ROI, you want to be able to track cost per lead, so that you can market with confidence, market more smartly.
Yes, that's something we talk a lot about in almost every webinar. This comes up about making sure that all of your systems communicate together. So if you're here and you're a CallRail customer, or if you're a Smith.ai customer, yes, we talk to one another. We support tracking numbers, so we also integrate with all of the different solutions as well. So that is absolutely important, making sure that all of your tools throughout the entire customer journey and customer life cycle communicate with one another, so you have that full picture. So when the call comes in, doesn't matter where the lead comes from, you can maintain that data, and that data has integrity. Doesn't matter if someone in-house answers the call, or if your outsourced virtual receptionist answers the call, you need to make sure you have that data maintained. So absolutely, if you are looking for, whether it's a new CRM, outsourced virtual receptionist solution, call tracking software, billing software, time tracking software, they all need to work together. That is something that I feel very passionately about. I get really excited about things like automation and
That's right.
data
And it's not
integrity
only,
and things like that. So
that's
yeah.
right. And it's not just the CRM. You can we have integrations on the ad, the sort of
Yep.
phase of attracting the leads, right? So integrating with your ad platforms, your ad analytics, very, very important.
Yeah, of course. So what role does AI also play then in customer service as well? So let's say after they're already a lead, after they've gone from a lead to a paying customer, what role does artificial intelligence have then?
Yeah, and again, our take on it is going to be very voice centric, and so assuming that the customer service rep is engaging on the phone, but also forms, chats, meet the customer where they want to meet you, right? But make sure that you know the customer, you have the full history. That full journey is so important in terms of where they've been, how they've engaged, what they've bought, what are the pains they've had. Are they happy? Are they unhappy? Seeing that, that quick sentiment rating can arm a CSR or an agent to engage more effectively and be personalized in the way they serve the customer and have as much context or color on the journey that that customer has been on, whether it's been positive or negative. So I think the same things apply whether the call is a first call, an inbound call for a sale, or if it's a call that's oriented more towards service. Again, it's about gleaning the insights from the call and surfacing the insights in the platform to allow the agent to engage in the most effective way. And that could be to drive a sale or a booking, or that could be to drive satisfaction and resolve a problem.
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time talking about AI, talking about lead management, why calls are important. And I'd like to just make sure, does anyone in the chat have any questions at this point? Because we've rattled on and rattled on. I think one burning question maybe if you are a small business owner, or if, let's say, you've never gotten started with, oh, a question popped up, yay. But let's say you've never gotten started with call tracking, or you're not even answering all of your calls and you want to know how to get started with answering services, anything like that, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. And then we'll kind of also talk about what a business owner should do to get started next. So
Right.
the questions in the chat are, how does Smith.ai and CallRail work together? So I can talk about this. So Smith.ai and CallRail do have an integration. And what that means is we maintain the data, but with your tracking numbers. So if you're using CallRail tracking numbers and you forward those tracking numbers to Smith.ai, our agents will answer the calls. And then we can send that data into CallRail and it will maintain the tracking number so that you still see where those calls came in. I'll actually pull up the integration guide for you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Smith.ai is a customer engagement solution. So our call tracking, we have, basic little baby call tracking. We do have a dashboard with some call metrics, whereas CallRail is on a whole nother level. So we will answer the calls. We will then take all of that data, send it into your CRM, send it into whichever systems you need it, and send that data back into CallRail as well. Does that answer your question there? Did you have anything you'd want to add?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. A lot of it is the sending and sharing the data, right? Based on who's answering the call, whether it's Smith.ai or your own business or your own frontline team. But also, you can set up the rules that you want, or the automation or call flows that you want, that designate whether that call is routed to Smith.ai or someone else like that or not, right? Based on time of day or weekend or overflow or certain rules or things that you glean from the call or the lead source. You can set up the right rules that say, hey, this is when we want to partner or use a resource like Smith.ai to help us.
Thank you.
And then someone asked if there are offerings available to agency owners. Thank you for asking that, because a huge number of agencies comprise. We have a lot of customers who are agencies. They're big fans of CallRail, and both as customers, but also as, in some cases, partners, that are referring their own customers and using the solution to serve their clients. So yes, we pretty much all of our solutions have relevance to agencies. So we don't have a specific agency suite, so to speak, but we do have the capability for an agency to centrally manage multiple clients with our solution and our platform. And a lot of the capabilities that an end client would want are the same ones that the agency wants as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I might invite Madeline or Jen. They can pipe in on some more details in terms of agency offerings.
And with Smith.ai, we also work with agencies. We do both a reseller or a wholesale model, depending on how you would like to offer it to your customers. I will also say that all of our agency partners rave about CallRail. I just did a webinar with one last week, and on their own, they brought up CallRail, and it kind of took over our little webinar. We had a little mini CallRail webinar in the middle of that webinar because they loved it so much.
Yeah, so, and they're fantastic partners as we think about product direction and product enhancements. They are a vital sounding board for us as we think about, what's our next step, or what's our next feature. We are actively in conversation with agencies on a regular basis to make sure that we're doing the right stuff. And then thank you for the question on latency. I unfortunately am not a technical person, so I cannot answer that question, but I might ask anyone.
Jen answered it in the chat.
Very good. Okay.
Jen got us. Jen said there should be no latency when forwarding calls through CallRail. Your callers will be unaware that calls are forwarding through a separate number. So we got another question in the Q&A. And this is from Samuel. So kind of sounds like answering service. Does a different person answer each call? So different persons might answer differently. Hey, I'm from Atlanta, by the way. That is a great question. Yeah, CallRail is based in Atlanta. So to answer your question, yes, Smith.ai has over 400 receptionists. We do not do dedicated receptionists, so any one of our receptionists could answer your calls. We are open 24/7, but our receptionists do not work 24/7. So you'll get different receptionists that'll answer at different times. Now, we do answer the calls based on how you would like us to greet the callers. Beyond that initial greeting, though, we try not to use scripts. What we do is whenever we onboard a new client, we would set up what we call a call flow. And we have on the back end a software that is proprietary that we have built for our receptionists that guide them through the call. So we're not using a script-based solution, but more like a GPS style solution that guides them through the call that they can interact with to help them, answer the questions that they need to have an intelligent conversation. It's an AI-backed solution. So every agent will answer the call the same, and they will follow the software to have the conversation based on the caller's needs. Does that answer your question, Samuel? Let me know if you need more details.
And then I just want to comment that, Samuel, in the question, you nailed the challenge here, that different people might answer differently. So for those calls that are being managed in-house, right? And if you have a solution, if you have CallRail and conversation intelligence, you can quickly see how those calls are being answered without having to, again, listen in or read the transcript or listen to the recording. Quickly see, are these effective, positive calls? If they're negative, let's double click into those and see what's going and quickly glean, why are these calls negative? And immediately surface coaching opportunities for those agents or CSRs who are fielding the calls to improve the way they engage. And I love that you're in Atlanta. Yeah, we are in downtown in the center of it.
Okay, Toby, the Smith.ai page mentions number of transfer destinations. Those are places that our receptionists will transfer to. So let's say billing departments, service departments, things like that. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. Jen, did you have something else you wanted to say? The chat module says that you would like to answer this question.
We covered the question. I was just letting
Oh.
it know that we had answered it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Okay, so let's talk about what first steps a business owner can take if they want to have more control over their calls, what's going on with their calls. If they want to get started with call tracking solutions, maybe they want to get started with, seeing some of this data. How many calls am I missing? Let's start there. I want to see how many calls I'm missing. How do I get started? And then maybe I want to take it one step further. I want to take it another step further. Then how can we get started?
Yeah. Well, if it's through CallRail, it's super easy. The bar is there really is no bar to start. It's free to try for 14 days. We have a 14-day free trial. And in that free trial period, you can quickly start to see the sources that are driving calls to your business and start to confirm, are these the right sources? Are we engaging in a way that turns those leads into customers? So after that 14-day period of time, the subscriptions start at $40 per month, depending on the type of plan that you take. And so again, the bar is low in terms of getting started. And we have a fantastic account management team that can walk through how you actually set up the solution. But in terms of the technical aspect of it, it really is simply a line of code that goes onto your website that not only allows you to do the call tracking aspect, but once someone calls into your business, you can also get that full visitor journey that we were talking about earlier, not only the call and what happened on the call, but what other pages on your website have they been engaging with either before the call or after the call. It's that full visitor journey that you can get just by using our solution. But I think back to your question, Jessica, about how to get started, I think it really is important for business owners or people who are thinking about marketing and turning leads into customers to map the journey, right? Map the journeys by which your customer might engage with you and the journey they go through to actually, book an appointment or transact. And if you map those journeys, you can realize, okay, there are some blind spots here. I'm not tracking this or I'm not tracking that. And in many cases for call intensive businesses, that blind spot is the call. And so that's where the call tracking comes in. But to your earlier point, Jessica, the more you can thread those together in a full picture of the journey, the better. So.
Okay. And when they're looking at the full picture, are there any blind spots that you see frequently?
I think a lot of it is just making sure you're tracking all the sources that you're using, right? And in today's landscape, it's a pretty fragmented landscape in terms of where you can market your business, right? And you want to make sure that you're looking at both offline, it could be billboards, it could be radio ads, it could be truck wraps if you're a home services company, it could be a mailer, right? Those things you can put a trackable phone number, a unique phone number on those. And then as well, all the digital touch points. It could be Google My Business, Apple Business Connect, it could be Google Ads, it could be Facebook, a number of digital venues. And the more you can get your arms around all those different sources and the quality and types of leads those sources are driving for you, whether you're paying for it or not. And in these times, some people are looking for the lowest cost option to do that. The more you can track, the better, right? So you want to just be comprehensive in the scope of what you're tracking. And this is intimidating, right? Particularly for the small business or the very, very small business. I think one of the biggest hurdles is letting go of that do-it-myself mentality, right? Like the owner should not be answering the calls, or the owner should not be in the truck doing the service call. That's the limit for some of growth, is that you're not letting go and you're not stepping out of the business and really elevating yourself to working on the business rather than in the business, right? So working on the business means you hire people who are answering the phone. You hire more people, more technicians to be in the truck, or whatever the service is that you're offering. And that's the unlock, right? That's the unlock for real business growth. But you want to do that smartly and intelligently with all the data to know what's working and what's not working, particularly for marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can feel overwhelming, especially when you first get started, but getting started is not difficult. Especially like if you're looking to get started with a outsourced virtual receptionist solution, for example. A lot of people, when they first get started, it is as simple as after hours, forward my calls to the outsourced virtual receptionist solution. There's like for us, there's typically no porting involved, which is where the headache comes in. You just simply forward your calls. There is some setup involved. Obviously, we are not mind readers. You have to tell us how you want us to answer your calls. But so there is a little bit of setup involved, just as if you were to hire someone in-house. But it's not a difficult process. We are the experts in this, and we can help you get this set up without any issues, and we can get this set up quickly. So it's not overwhelming and it's not difficult, but we do understand that it can feel overwhelming and that it can be difficult to let go of that. I did see a few more questions come in the chat. So Laura Hurd says, do callers ever get put on hold while they wait for a call to be answered? At Smith.ai, no, we have very, very good answer times. We do not pick up and put callers on hold. Absolutely not. Let's see. Hi, Toby. Oh, wait, that is Jen. If a customer commits to using CallRail and after a few years wants to stop, can they port out their phone numbers? Hi, Toby. We offer free porting in and out of CallRail. Yes. Oh, I think we got all the questions. Yay.
Very good.
So we are at 10 minutes till the end of our scheduled time. Are there any questions in the chat? Is there anything, Masami, that you wanted to touch on today that we didn't get a chance to talk about? Or if you're in the chat and there was something you were hoping we would talk about and we didn't, let us know and we will be sure to talk about it. Let's go back and look. So why calls are important. We talked about that because they have that higher conversion rate and intent. We talked about that. We talked about how AI plays a role in phone conversations. We talked about the importance of call intelligence. Okay. Ooh, got another chat. Exciting. Toby says, can you tell me how Smith.ai works with CRM systems? Absolutely. So whenever a Smith.ai receptionist answers a call, I mentioned earlier that we use our own proprietary software that the agents answer the call on. Well, the agents will do client intake. They'll screen the calls, they'll qualify the caller, and then they will capture all of that caller's information. Immediately after the call, so they'll do whatever is necessary on the call, whether that's book an appointment, take a payment, send an email message, whatever that looks like. But immediately following the call, if you have an integration set up, all of that information that was captured will be sent into the CRM via API. So it varies slightly based on the CRM, but typically what that looks like is if they don't exist in the CRM, it will add them as a lead with their contact information, and it'll add the activity, the call log, as an activity. If they do exist in the CRM, let's say they're a contact already, then it will add the activity in the CRM as a call log. So, some CRMs call them notes, some call them phone calls, some call them activities. It depends on your CRM, but that's the basics of it. Oh, Toby, a ton. I'll send you the link so you can look. And if the CRM you're looking for isn't on the link, then we also integrate with Zapier, which has over 5,000 tools. And I have solution engineers that can help you build a custom Zap if you need. So there's the link. So we've got, everyone from Salesforce, Keep, Zoho to, more niche CRMs, depending on what vertical you're in. Are you looking for a specific CRM? Okay, so someone said, what's CRM? A CRM is a customer relation. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Customer relationship management.
Right. Yeah.
I have literally forgotten what the word CRM means.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
Customer relationship management. Jargon. That's what it is.
Track all 360
Oh, Samuel.
look up customers. Yeah. How you're engaging with them, where they're coming from, how you're engaging with them, how you're converting them.
Samuel, what are you using today to manage your customers? Are you using like a spreadsheet? Are you using a software to manage your customers, to communicate with them, to keep notes on them, things like that? All right. So I will ask you this, Laura. What industry are you in? We work with a lot of CRMs. So if you, whoo, okay. So you may actually, although you may not be using a CRM, you may be using a practice management solution that has like that has a CRM built in. So a lot of legal practice management solutions, they're not called CRMs, but they have CRM style solutions built into them. So what are you using for your practice management? But it doesn't track anything. Okay. Okay. Well, listen, if you guys don't have any more questions, you're welcome to leave. But if you do have questions, I'll hang out here for a little bit longer and answer all the questions. Jen says CallRail integrates with Lawmatics, which is a legal specific CRM. Yes, yes, yes.
Indeed, there are many. Yes.
There are so many. Do we integrate with the starter hub? Toby, you may have actually stumped me.
Thank you, Jen. I was going to say, confirm that on the CallRail side, we do.
Hold on, and I will look. Toby, that one I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Here, let me send you. All right, Toby, I'm going to send you a link if you want to learn more. Well, I'll send it to everyone. Everyone can have the learn more link. I only say Toby because he's most interactive. Oh, you know what? I know exactly where I can find the answer, I bet you. Okay. So if I go here, Toby, onto the HubSpot page, it says it works with all HubSpot plans. So that leads me to believe it does. I would trust the HubSpot website to know which plans it works with.
Good questions.
Great questions.
Well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour.
Mm-hmm. Thank you everyone so much for attending. Again, if there are any questions, please do reach out. I put the Smith.ai booking link in the chat. Jen, if you have a contact info that you want to put in the chat for CallRail, that would be amazing. Now, immediately following this webinar, I will send out an email with the recording and contact information for both CallRail and Smith.ai. So you'll have all of those in a neat little package. And we'll talk to everyone again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.